Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I have my mid-September reading wrap-up for you, so let's just get right into it. So the first book I read this month was actually one that was recommended to me in the comments of one of my videos, so if that was you, thank you. And it was Most of All You by Sheridan, and this one was recommended to me because I am like obsessed with Archer's Voice now by Sheridan, and this one is very, it's not like similar in like the storyline, but the boy in it is very sort of similar to the things I liked about Archer and Archer's Voice. So if you liked that book, you'll probably like this one as well. It's about a boy who basically, well, I guess he's not like a boy, he's like 24 I think, but he basically was kidnapped when he was like 9 and then escaped when he was 15, and so he has all these issues with like being close to people and things, and so he decides he's gonna go to a strip club to like hire a stripper to sort of help him get over his like issues. And he ends up meeting this girl, and she has all of her like own issues where she has like no desire to sort of emotionally get close to people and things like that, and so they sort of kind of have their own issues, but he's just so sweet to her, and she's just like not used to that at all because she like works at a strip club, so she kind of gets treated horribly all the time. But this one was just really cute. I think I gave this one 4.5 stars because it's like not quite Archer's Voice, but like it was still really good. Definitely like one that I would probably go back and reread again in the future. I really like this one if you're looking for like the sweet boy vibes that Archer's Voice had. Like I said, this one is really sort of got those same vibes going on, so you probably like this one as well. Next, I read Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller, and this one I talk about in my TikTok Made Me Read It episode 2, so I'll link that down below if you haven't already seen it. And this one I gave 5 stars too. I really loved it. If you have been on my channel for a while, you know I'm a sucker for anything like water related. Pirates, mermaids, sirens are like my 3 top favorite sort of like fantasy like character plot points, I guess. And so this was like right up my alley. I really liked this one. And like I said, gave it 5 stars, talked about it more in that other video, which I will have below. Next, for that same video, I also read The Shadows Between Us by Tricia Levenseller, and this one I was like kind of iffy on when I was going into it because it's very much like a fantasy book, sort of more so than I feel like Daughter of the Pirate King was. And I don't know why, I just consider like pirates to be more like neutral territory than like straight up fantasy. And so this one I was a little bit like concerned about because this one's like straight up fantasy, but I really like Tricia Levenseller. I've decided I find her fantasy is like really easy to read as someone who doesn't read fantasy normally. Like it was very easy for me to understand the different people. Sometimes I find that like authors in fantasy particularly like really overcomplicate things with all these crazy names and like languages interwoven and like weird things that I don't understand, and this one I just like didn't have that problem with, so I really like her writing style of fantasy. So if you're someone who's trying to get into more like fantasy romance or fantasy in general, this would probably be a good place to start. I think I gave this one 4 stars because I didn't like it as much as Daughter of the Pirate King, but it was still really good. Next, I read my first graphic novel, which is kind of exciting, and it was Pumpkinheads by Rowell. I saw this one floating around a lot last year when I was on like Bookstagram or whatever. I saw it floating around a lot during obviously like Halloween season, and just like never got around to it, and at the time I wasn't like connected to my library online, so I couldn't just like check things out like that. But I got this one from my library, read it, I thought this was really cute. Honestly, I was surprised. For some reason I didn't think this whole book was going to take place over the course of one night, but it does. It's basically their last night working at this pumpkin patch before they go off to college, and the whole story is like them trying to get to this girl that the guy has had a crush on all the years he's worked there, and it results in them kind of going all over the pumpkin patch to find her. And so they end up sort of stopping at every single, like the corn maze and like the candy apple hut and whatever, and they kind of, it's very like fall, very cute. I gave this one 5 stars because like I think for what it is, it's really good. I love the artwork in it as well, and it's just a really cute fall read if you're looking for something like that. After that one, I was in such a like fall Halloween mood, so I read Getting Down by Helena, and this is a novella which is part of the Shacking Up series. You're supposed to read it after the first Shacking Up book, but I've already read most of the Shacking Up books. I do kind of wish I had read it like in order because there's one character in this novella that I just couldn't stand, and something sort of happens with them later on that like I knew it was like fine, but I was like not fine reading this. And it's basically just like a Halloween party that they throw, like the characters from the first book and the ones that will be in the second book are in it as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. Like I said, I wish I had read it in between. I gave this one 4 stars. I have a hard time rating novellas because I feel like there's so little like content to base a rating off of, but I gave it 4 stars. Next was The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle, Elle, Jensen. This one I also read for that TikTok video, and I really loved this one. I haven't gotten to the second book yet, but this one was just like surprisingly good. I don't know, I thought it would be like one of those books that I read that was like way overhyped, but I actually really liked this one. I felt like it had a lot of different sort of layers going on to it, but also I felt like it did the romance justice, because in some of the other ones I read for that video, I felt like the romance kind of suffered in favor of the like action parts of the story, I guess. And this one I felt like that wasn't the case. The romance was still like very predominant throughout all of the things going on in the book, and I really liked that aspect of that. And so I will, like I said in that video, be continuing on with this series. I gave this one 5 stars if I didn't say that. Next I read Top Secret by Sarina, Bowen, and Elle Kennedy, and this is for a video that I am not filming until like, or it's not uploading until like October, but I'm trying to get ahead on my videos, and I'm so excited for this video. Like, I can't even tell you. It is probably going to be my favorite video I ever do. But I read this book. It's a MM romance, if you haven't heard of it, and Sarina, Bowen, and Elle Kennedy's books, I forgot how much I love them. I love the Him series. It's one of my all-time favorites, and this was like right up there with that one. I gave this one 5 stars. Really loved it. It's about these 2 boys who live in a frat house, and they're sort of neighbors, but they're also running for like the frat house president, I guess is what it is, and they hate each other, like cannot stand each other. One of them is like the rich, like spoiled kid, and the other one is like they're on like scholarship and is like working all the time, doesn't have enough money and things, and they like can't stand each other. And the rich one has a girlfriend who wants a threesome for her birthday, and so he goes on this hookup app to find another guy for her birthday, and he ends up meeting this guy on there, and they end up talking and sort of like forgetting that the girlfriend even exists, kind of, and it's just sort of their romance from there. But it is so good and so cute, and just like I posted this on my Instagram. There's something about Sarina, Bowen, and Elle Kennedy's books together that are just so good. But like honestly, I kind of like him and Good Boy more than I liked the Off-Campus series. Like, don't come for me, but like they're so good and no one talks about them, and I don't know why, because they really should. Those books are so good. And like I said, anything that Elle Kennedy and Sarina Bowen ever write together, I will probably read and love, because there's just, they make me want to keep reading. Like, I was reading Top Secret at 3 a.m. and I was like sitting there being like, okay, just one more chapter, and like I literally couldn't keep my eyes open, but I was like, no, I have to keep reading this book. And I don't get that vibe from many books, because I'm like, I read so much, it's very easy for me to put a book down usually, but their books, I just can't do it. They're so good. And so like I said, I'll be talking about this more in a future video that I'm really excited for. So next book I read was The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and honestly I wasn't expecting this to like this as much as I did. I am not normally a mystery reader. It's not a genre that I've ever really dabbled in. I think this was probably my first, actually, and I really love this. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was so good. And this is also for another video that's going to come out in the second week of October, I want to say. But I'm really excited for that video now because this book was so good. I'm actually reading the second one currently, and I'm really excited about it. They're so good. I actually even like told my mom that she should read these books because they're so good. If you haven't heard of this book, it's basically about this girl who is living with her, I think she's like her half-sister, and they're living together. Her mom has just died. They don't have the same moms, and so she moves in with this half-sister to sort of like, I guess, save money, or like so she can take care of her or whatever. And she moves in with her, and then all of a sudden this guy shows up and he's like, you have to come to this estate and be there for the reading of my grandfather's will. And she's like, what the heck, that's like super weird, like I don't even know you. But they end up going with him, and they get to this like giant mansion, and she finds out that this grandfather has left her like all of his money basically. He's given his 4 grandsons like some things and like his daughters some things, but he leaves her basically everything, and no one can figure out why. So the whole book is like them basically trying to figure out why he left this random girl that he never knew all this money. And it's just like really well done. It's not like cheesy or anything, which I was like kind of worried about. It's so good, and it's like really easy to read really quickly. I really liked that this had like really short chapters too. That's something that I really like in books that I never realized until this one. But definitely check this one out if you haven't. Next, I read Easy by Tammara Weber, and this was another one that I read for a future video. Pretty much all the books I read are for a future video, but this one is about a girl who is at a party one night right after she is broken up with by her ex, and she's out at this party and this guy kind of like attacks her in the parking lot, and this other guy comes and sort of steps in and saves her, and it's like sort of their relationship between the two of them. I don't know. I gave this one 3.5 stars because I think in its time it was probably a really like new and like crazy concept, this book, but I gave it 3.5 stars. It was published in 2012. I actually had to look it up because it is an older book, and I think that's why I didn't like it as much. There was some things that I know like in this book would not be published in a book today if it were written in like 2021, but I did like it. I did think the story was enjoyable, but like I said, it read like one of the early new adult romance books. Like I could tell that this was one of the first in that sort of genre of college romance, and so I didn't love it. It was okay. Lastly, I read They Wish They Were Us by Jessica Goodman, also for another future video. This one I didn't love. I just finished this one last night, and I don't know. I gave it 3 stars. I am usually like one of those people, like I said, I've never read a mystery prior to the Inheritance games, and this was like my second one. It's a murder mystery, and honestly, I guess who the like murderer was way early on in the book. Like we're talking like, I don't know, like page 20 or something probably. Like I knew who it was from the moment the character was introduced, and that just like ruined the whole book for me. And also like, I don't know, I thought this was just me, but like after reading the reviews I'm like, okay, maybe it wasn't just me. I found there was so much like information, but about all the wrong things. Like they talk about, basically this book's about this girl who is a player, but the book does a very horrible job of explaining what a player is in the start of the book. It's basically like a secret society in the school, but everyone knows that it exists. Like it's not that secret, but it's like secret if you're in it. And they have all these files with like test banks and things to get them like higher grades, and they're like considered like the smartest and the coolest and whatever people, but they're basically all there because they're cheating. And the whole book is about this girl just kind of like reconciling with that, I guess, like sort of realizing that she hasn't really earned a lot of the things that she's gotten out of being with the players. And when they were in freshman year, her best friend Shayla was murdered during a player event, and her boyfriend like took the blame for it. He was like, yeah, it was me, whatever. It's been 3 years now, so they've closed the case. He confessed. They've just all sort of moved on with their lives. But then this girl starts getting all these texts from his sister saying, he's innocent, like you need to help us prove this, like we have to find more evidence and whatever, like all of these things. And she starts like questioning, like, oh, did he really kill him or whatever. But like I said, it was just too obvious from the beginning to guess, and I wasn't the only one. Like I said, I looked at the reviews after reading this, and it seemed like everyone else sort of had the same vibe. So I gave it 3 stars mostly because I think if you were younger, maybe you would like this, maybe you wouldn't catch on so quickly who it was. I don't know, I wasn't expecting to guess who it was because like I said, I never read these books, and I'm usually horrible with like movies and things, like guessing who like the bad guy is. And so that's like not something that I'm usually good at like picking out. And the fact that I picked up on it so early just to me means that like basically everyone should pick up on it that early. So yeah, I didn't really vibe with this one as much as I was hoping. But yeah, those are all the books I read in the first half of September. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. I do new book videos every single week, and I will see you next time.